ChampionsTCG is the new trading card game that is taking the Web3 gaming world by storm. It is a ton of fun, and we're seeing players from Gods Unchained, as well as Hearthstone, and really just all kinds of trading card games and crypto games. A lot of people from these communities jumping into ChampionsTCG, a lot of people starting to get involved. Recently, the game added daily rewards in the form of, play and earn. So you have the top players in the game earning upwards of $5 to $6 a day. I can't guarantee that'll always be the case, but there is some earnings potential right now. There's also daily tournaments. 6 days a week, you can join a tournament for free and have a chance to earn real money. $75 a day, Monday to Friday, and then a $500 event each weekend. So there is a lot going on in this game, but of course, in any trading card game, the question is, can you actually compete on a budget? Is there a budget-friendly or even free-to-play friendly option that will let you actually win the 10 games a day that you need in the ranked ladder, for example, to earn the most you can earn, or just to have fun and get some damn wins, because winning is fun and you want to win, right? So this is a really good $20 deck. It is a budget aggro deck that I have personally played and tested in the meta. And I know you might be thinking, okay, Flux, well, how are you so qualified? Well, I am currently 5th place on the leaderboard. That's me, Q-Flux, number 5 in the seasonal leaderboard, 74% win rate out of 39 games. The season only started a few days ago, and some of these games were with the budget deck. Not most of them, but I think 5 to 7 games, maybe closer to 10, I played using the budget deck that we're looking at right here. So I have personally made sure this deck actually works. It is actually fun to play and relatively good, relatively consistent. You can definitely win up to 10 games a day with this list for the sake of those rewards, as well as to have fun just crushing your opponents. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to go through this deck card by card, explain the strategy real quick, explain how you want to play it, and then we're going to jump into a sample match on the ranked ladder, and I'm going to show you the deck in action, show you exactly how it wins. I will say right now, before we jump into the cards, this is a sponsored video. ChampionsTCG is my main sponsor of January 2024. So thanks to them for sponsoring. I've had a great time grinding the game over the last 3 weeks. It's been a ton of fun. Okay, let me do a little moving some windows around. I'm going to walk you through all of these cards so that you can see what is good. Okay, first on the list is Fuku. And since this is a new game, I'm going to walk through the keywords in future videos. We don't have to always explain all of these keywords. But let's jump right in. So Fuku is a 1-mana 4/4 Quantum Shift. Quantum Shift means it can swap places. It can switch with one of your opponent's cards on the board. This is absolutely nutty. 2 Fuku is needed in any deck in the game, in my opinion. You cannot run a deck and have it as good as it is able to be without running 2 of these. Luckily, they cost less than $1, so even though it's incredibly strong, it's also very affordable. Next up, Timberfawn is 3/5 for 2 with Shatter. Shatter gives it 2 more creatures when it dies, 2/2/2 creatures as an afterlife. Very good value and also evolves into a strong card. If you need to learn the basic mechanics, by the way, evolutions and just basic stuff, there's plenty of other videos that explain that. I'll toss some links in the description, or just ask me in the comments if you have questions on that stuff. Mirri is a 3/4 for 2 Retribution. Retribution means when it dies, it does 4 damage to all your opponent's creatures. So we run one of these in case the opponent gets way ahead on the board to try to give us a chance to come back. We only run one because we don't want to really get too many of that card in our hand too early, so 1 is enough. Bubby is a 2/3 Whirlwind for 2. Whirlwind is one of the strongest keywords in the game. It lets you send any card on the board back to the owner's hand, so you can use it to recycle cards you want to play again to get their effect again, or to deny the opponent tempo by sending their cards back into their hand. Whirlwind is busted. Shadowgaze 4/4 Curse for 2. Curse lets you target an opponent's creature and give it -2/-2 permanently. I think Curse is a little bit underrated, so this card is actually quite good, and it has a strong evolution, which we'll see later in the deck. Blazebark is 4/4 for 2 again. This one is Wildfire. Wildfire means when you play this card and any card after it, as long as it's on the board, it does 1 damage to a random card on the opponent's side of the board. So Wildfire is a little effect, but it really builds up over time and can be surprisingly useful in managing the board and getting ahead. Pukey is a 4/4 for 2 greed. If you play it on an empty board, you draw 2. Otherwise, you draw 1 when you play it. Just an absolute staple of the format and very affordable, so you want to run 2 of those in pretty much every deck. Creamla is a 4/4 Blizzard for 3. Blizzard lets you freeze one of the opponent's creatures for a turn. Frozen creatures deal no retaliation damage and can't attack. So you can clear them out and not take damage, or you can leave it alone and your opponent won't be able to attack with it. Very, very strong. We're running Broomella, a 4/4 for 3 Whirlwind. Again, that means you can send cards back to the owner's hand. Very strong. Cinderimp, I am misspelling, but this guy, 5/2 for 3. And Combustion is a very powerful effect. Lets you do 6 damage to any target on the board or the opponent's face. It also does 6 damage to your champion, your face, when you play it. So there is a trade-off, but it's very, very strong. Pyrowood is a 5/6 Inferno. Inferno is a little bit complicated, but it deals random amounts of damage to 2 random creatures on the opponent's board, as well as itself. So it's a bit of a dice roll, a bit of an RNG card, but it is a very strong effect, and on the 5/6 body for 3, it's a good budget Inferno. There are some more expensive upgrades, but that card should work okay for starters. Strawbash, 5/6 Windseeker for 3, great stats, and Windseeker is an incredibly powerful ability. It lets you target a creature on the board and draw that card's evolution if it's in your deck. If you don't have the evolution, it just draws a random card. So you can get the evolution for a card that's on the board and then immediately evolve it, which is very, very powerful if you understand how evolutions work. So this is great. It can also self-target and get its own evolution into your hand for the next turn, which is also quite strong. Next up, Creg on the right. 5/5 for 3, Tsunami. Tsunami lets you do 3 damage to one of the opponent's creatures, and it does 1 damage to all the other opponent's creatures. This is an underrated card, I think. Creg is quite useful since it's only 3 energy to just get the board handled when you have some kind of awkward scenario. It's a great complement to Inferno, Combustion, and Earthquake, and all your other answers that you're gonna be using. Elkantler evolves from Timberfawn, one of the first cards we looked at. It is a 6/7 Blizzard, which again lets it freeze one of the opponent's creatures. Good stats, and the fact that it evolves from Timberfawn means it's pretty excellent since it fits in so well into the deck. Updawa is a 4-mana 6/7 Whirlwind. Whirlwind is super strong, as we said, and this is a pretty good stat line for 4, so that's a really nice one. Incendistare, it evolves from that curse creature we looked at, Shadowgaze. This is one of my favorite cards. Villy Bestie recommended it to me, one of the other pro players in Champions and fellow Gods Unchained streamer and player. This card is amazing. It's really powerful, and the fact that it evolves from Shadowgaze means that if you can get Shadowgaze out on turn 1 with the Lily or turn 2, depending, you could then evolve into Incendistare on turn 2 or 3, and if that happens, that is a strong card to evolve into. The stats are insane. It will get whirlwinded sometimes, but I think it's worth it because it's just such a powerful card that can really get a lot of value. Berricane is the evolution of the Strawberry card. Another Windseeker, so it can draw the evolution of something on the board. 5 mana, 6/9. Again, that 6/9 stat line. All memes aside, haha, nice. It's a very strong stat line. It's amazing at 4. It's still pretty good at 5. Combined with a draw, especially a targeted draw, like an evolution of a particular card, if you need it, it's so powerful. So that is very, very nice. And then lastly, Mysticonda. I am misspelling it. We'll get there. 7/7 Raise Dead. Raise Dead is cracked. It revives the top creature in your graveyard and lets you reactivate that creature's keyword. So if you can target something with Combustion or Whirlwind, you actually get to do that. And on top of that, you do lose 6 health. So there's a small drawback, but Raise Dead is insane. We're running 2 of these in the budget deck, and we could even, like, theoretically, we could run more. Meat Bro for 5 is a 5/8 Raise Dead, and you could easily run 1 of those along with the 2 of the Mysticondas. Like, you could even add more because Raise Dead is super insane. So that is the basics of the deck. Let's jump into the ranked queue and do a sample match so I can show you how the deck works in action. Let's go. All right, I'm going to jump into the queue. We'll see if it takes a little bit to get a match. I'll let you guys know as soon as I get one. Okay, that was actually really quick. Let's go up against Ruzzle. I played against this guy a few times. I've got my special edition Fuku, so he looks really cool, but it's the same as the normal one. It's just a cosmetic difference. Looks cool, so don't be alarmed. Right away, we're going to hold on to this because this is our swapping with an enemy card, so we're always saving Fuku. We're not playing it on turn 1. We can play Fawn or Shadowgaze. If I had Windseeker in hand, I'd probably play Shadowgaze right away. Since I don't, I'm going to use the Shatter. Basically, we're trying to get Timberfawn out early. It is a whirlwind target, so they're going to send it back to our hand. We might end up playing it multiple times. It happens. Here we have two options, really. Cinderimp could Combustion just to kill their Bubby, but I think we'll go for the Greed. Pukey is such a strong early play because it draws 2 cards on an empty board. I'll usually take that anytime in the first 2 or 3 turns if I can. Filling up your hand early is pretty effective. They have Blizzard, so they get to do some damage. We have no retaliation damage there. But we do have Windseeker now. What I'd like to do is use that on Shadowgaze next turn if I can. And then we want to do one other thing. I guess we'll just play both Shadowgazes. This way, one of them is very likely to succeed. And we'll just completely kill one of their creatures. So we're building a board advantage. We're getting ready to use Windseeker, which will get me the evolution, the incendiary card. What is it called? I can't even remember the name right now. I'm kind of mind flooded from what I'm doing. What is it? Incendistare. That's it. Incendistare. When you play like 5 different card games, you're gonna be mind flooded. You're gonna forget the name of things, no matter how much you like the game. It just is what it is. Okay. They play a 5/5 Greed, so they're drawing, and that is an awkward stat line for us to deal with. Oh, I messed up. I should have... Okay, no, we're fine. I'm going to attack face, then I'm going to evolve. Just make sure I get that attack. And that incendiary wildfire attack, the 1 damage effect is all we need to be able to trade in and destroy their vomit tackle. So we can trade in the one, we evolve the other. Every time we evolve, we get a free draw. Evolutions only cost 1 mana, so these evolutions are incredibly powerful. Probably one of the biggest things I wasn't focused on enough. One of the things that when I started using it more, I started winning a lot more games, was just evolving as much as I can and building my deck around specific evolutionary lines, not just the random best cards. Especially with Gen 3, the new card set that came out like this week. Now it is more important than ever to get that evolution value because it ramps your tempo, getting stronger cards faster, and it increases your value, adding cards to your hand. So it is just pretty much, with rare exceptions, like if a game goes to fatigue, I guess it could be bad, but generally evolving is just good. It just adds all good things to your scenario. It just makes your situation so much better. They're going to whirlwind, and they're probably going to send back Incendistare. It is a whirlwind target. Okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. They actually gave me back Windseeker. We'll be able to draw again. My best guess is they thought that I self-targeted, or they're afraid of me evolving the Strawbash. I don't know if that's what they're thinking, but that's my best guess. So if this is their only creature, we can use Combustion to deal 6 damage, plus the 1 extra damage from Wildfire. If this is the only creature, it's guaranteed to hit this. That'll be 7 damage to clear out Updawa. I think they used all their energy. Maybe they have 1 left and they're thinking about using a Fuku. I don't know for sure. But yeah, I think we're just going to do the Cinderimp play. There's other ways to do this, but this is so clean. And then self-target the Strawbash, pull its evolution for next turn. We can't evolve it the same turn that it plays, but you can see here right away, and I feel a little bit bad because I've queued into this guy a handful of times today, and I've been giving him a hard time pretty much every time we match up. This is exactly what it looks like when the deck is working well. We are being aggressive, clearing out the opponent's threats, getting evolutions and card draw and ramping that value, all while just maintaining total control of the board, and we're in a good position to start going face and pushing that aggro. Aggro doesn't mean just going face right away, not in this game. It used to be more face aggro, hyper aggro, just all face before Gen 3, but now things have really slowed down, in my opinion, in a nice way, so it's definitely going to feel more mid-rangey. Anyone watching this who's coming from Gods Unchained, it's almost like the opposite of Gods Unchained ranked. It's like a lot of mid-range, back and forth battles on the board. You're not having like your huge board insta-cleared by one card, at least not in the current game, the current card set. So it's definitely a board battle a lot of the time. They used Psybeam, which swaps the HP and the attack of Cinderimp. Not a big deal, though. I'm so far ahead on the board. And here's a big trick. So I'm going to kill the Vomitackle with Strawbash. Vomitackle, I'm getting it close. It has 1 health left, but then I'm going to evolve it. And I could even, I could do even more, but let's just focus on this. So I evolve it. I pick whatever, because it's just going to draw a random card. I don't have evolutions. And we have a fully healed Berricane. So I went from a 5-1 with the 1 health left all the way to full health, taking advantage of that evolution, which heals us back to full to clear out their creature basically for no penalty. And now we're in a really strong spot. Let's just keep pressing the advantage. I'll use another Cinderimp. Honestly, that's probably not the best time to use it. You probably want to save Combustion until you actually need it because it's so powerful. But we have Fuku. If they get anything huge on the board, I could swap that with any kind of like Provoke that they might play. Provoke would force us to attack the Provoke creature first, so we could swap it and steal it and just keep going face. We're still going to control the board, but as you can see, the aggro is working perfectly. Not every game can be this smooth. A lot of times the opponent will build a board and you're going to have to fight from behind. And, you know, there's a lot of close matches, but this is a great example of how this deck can just absolutely crush in the right circumstances. So they're using some Blizzard, trying to get back, but their tempo is pretty bad here. Honestly, like, they're running the old technology, the Gen 2 meta, and I think what I'm showing you guys is the Gen 3 meta. Fun fact, for no real reason, this deck is all Gen 3 cards. So there's definitely good value Gen 2 cards that you probably should consider running. And so that is definitely a thing. It's not like you don't want to run Gen 2, but this deck does happen to be all Gen 3 for better or for worse. We'll use the cool Fuku here. Use the cool special edition card just because we can. And yeah, I'm just kind of dumping out cards now. I'm going to draw more and more stuff. Keep hitting them in the face with everything we got. And I mean, they're going to need to answer me very soon or else we'll be winning in the next 1 or 2 turns. This is nice. This is exactly the kind of match you're probably going to get if you run this deck. Not against the top players. If you get some of the top players and you run into them, you're going to have more resistance. But against a lot of the newer players coming in with a highly effective deck where almost every card has immediate impact. There's very few cards in this deck that don't. Incendistare is a little bit slow, as is Timberfawn, but almost, I think every other card in the deck has instant impact. One of the most important things in this game because of Whirlwind and Blizzard and a couple other mechanics. So we have that. Just everything is always impacting, always hitting the board. And they have conceded like a turn or two ahead of time. We would have sent that huge guy right back into their hand using Whirlwind and kept going from there. So I get very few ranking points because they're pretty far below me in the ranks right now. But that is exactly how you want this deck to play. So, in conclusion, ChampionsTCG is awesome. Give it a try. Links are in the description. Thanks again to Champions for sponsoring my content throughout January. Hopefully, we'll continue that in February. That'd be a lot of fun. I'm certainly down. And if you end up buying any gems to buy packs in this game, use code QFLUX, QFLUX. You know what it is. And you can get 10% off. All right, y'all. Thanks a lot for watching. And let me know in the comments any questions you have. I'm happy to answer them. All right. Bye.